Hey, ever wonder how to turn this into this? Illustrator Blend Tool is my secret weapon. Stick around, I'll walk you through my vector shading process. Let's start by looking at how to create a shape gradient. To begin, we need at least two shapes to create the blend, ideally with the same number of points. Here, as you can see, there are 4 points on both shapes. It's not always mandatory, but using an uneven number of points can cause odd transitions. For example, to check how many points this star has, right-click on it, choose Simplify, then click on the gear icon. You'll see 20 under Original Points. This step is only to check the number of anchor points. Just click outside the panel to exit the Simplify tool. Now, to make a shape gradient, you need a start point and an end point. It can even work with more than 2 shapes, but for the moment we're using 2. You can use the standard tool from the toolbar. Simply click one of the shape to the next and it generates the blend. You can also use the top menu by going to Object, Blend, Make. The shortcut on PC is Ctrl-Alt-B, on Mac is Command-Option-B. To undo it, Shift-Ctrl-Alt-B on PC and Shift-Command-Option-B on Mac. Now we see a blend that includes both shapes transitions and color gradients. If I change the gradient, it updates in real time, creating a very responsive and flexible result. I created some custom actions to simplify the process, so I don't need to go through the menu every time. There's a download link in the description. Download the file and open your Actions panel. Click the panel menu and choose Load Actions. Select the file you downloaded. Once the file is downloaded, it will appear in the panel. I've enabled button mode for ease of use. You might see list mode first, but button mode is much simpler. Just one click and it's done. Let me show you how the 4 actions work in practice. First, select both shapes, then click on the first action, Add Blend plus Steps. Then enter the number of steps, for example, 50. To change that number later, click on the second button called Edit Blend Steps. In there, you can adjust the value, let's say 25. This way, you avoid digging through the menu each time you want to modify it. As you can see, it's really powerful. Adjustments happen in real time, like rotating one shape and instantly seeing the blend shift. This creates dynamic effects like spiral gradient you couldn't get otherwise. Now let's switch to a new shape and use the shortcut to apply the blend. Now we get a different effect, almost like a bump in the shape. Again, changing the angle of the gradient gives a different result. As you tweak the gradient, the result evolves until it matches the look you're going for. Now, if we want the shape blends to follow a path, we need to select 3 shapes. One of them acts as the spline of the blend. Using this method, the transition wraps along the shape of the star. Let's trigger it with the shortcut, and there it is. The result looks cool, but the default number of steps is too small. So once again, click on the blend and choose Edit Blend Steps. Then enter the number you want. Let's try 200. Much better. That gives us a pretty impressive 3D illusion. Let me show you the last 2 actions. Clicking Reverse Front Back will bring the blue shape to the front and push the orange one to the back. And the final action, Reverse Spline. This flips the direction of the blend across the path, so the blue remains in the front, but now the transition follows the opposite direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. For the last example, I simply stacked different stroke thicknesses on top of each other. Let's apply the gradient with the shortcut. It generates a neon-style glow that you can use in all sorts of visuals. The first step is to trace the outline of your object, the unique shapes, in this case, the end of the Lego minifigure. After the outline, try to identify which shape could serve as a starting point for your different shape gradients. So in step 2, we lay down the gradients. At this stage, they don't need to be perfectly set up. They just provide a starting point for the values, so that once the shape gradients are done, you can go back and adjust them to get the effect you're after. In step 3, you're going to define the starting shape and the ending shape for each gradient. Here we have two shapes, the second is transparent. Now we apply the blend tool, and here's the result. I repeat the same process across these groups of shapes. That's basically how I work. Here there are three shapes. The first two are close together, while the last one is transparent. This creates a hard edge that gradually fades into the background. Let me show you how I work with transparency. I usually start by setting up a plan for building the shapes. Let's take this one for example. This here is the wrist of the Lego character's hand. First, this shape, then a transparent one. Both contain the same number of points. I started with this shape and I reshaped it by adjusting the points to create this new form. I adjusted just the points that control the transition in the blend. Because for the target shape, I wanted a much smoother result, especially near the end. And now to show you the result using those same shapes. Blending the two shapes give me this result. And that's pretty much how I render objects in a more realistic style. Now let me show you these highlights. They're linked to the stroke size so I can adjust them on the fly. Here's the technique I use. Here's the way I build those highlights. Start with a black circle, no stroke. Make it black because it's easier to define the brush color afterwards. In the transparency panel, set the opacity to 0. Next, copy it with Ctrl or Command C, then press Ctrl or Command F to paste it in front. Set its opacity to 100 and scale it down. Now apply a shape blend between the two shapes. Here, we'll use our action, add blend plus steps. Next, choose a low number of steps. Since it's just a small detail, there's no need to go overboard. Just 10 steps will do for a clean blend. That way the process stays simple and efficient. Next, give it an elliptical shape, which works better for a brush stroke. Now, all we have to do is drag the shape we just made into the brushes panel. And select Art Brush. This means the shape will stretch along the entire path it's applied to. Click OK. Then in the brush settings, give it a name, something like Highlight. Choose Stretch to fit stroke length. As for the direction, in this case, it's either left or right, so it matches the angle of your ellipse. Let's take a look at the colorization method. The light bulb icon will show you how it works. In most cases, tint is the method you want to choose. No matter what color your design has, it will be converted to the color you select. Since the shape is already black, everything's set. Just select tint and confirm by clicking OK. Our new brush is ready, so when I draw a curve using it, the blend we build is right there inside the brush stroke. Now, if I change the color, you'll see the brush can be used either to create highlights or to add shadow effects. Using these brushes, I added all the highlight details to the illustration. And that covers the essential of the lesson. Before we jump into the bonus, don't forget to give this video a like. And if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here's a great trick to create fake 3D, a bit like building your own depth map using the blend tool. Now, we've got two identical shapes. Let's start with the one at the back. To make this technique work, you'll need the appearance panel. Click the FX icon at the bottom, head to Path, select Offset Path and set it to 20. We'll apply the same effect to the front shape, but with a negative offset. The negative offset value depends on each shape. Go too far and you'll hit a limit where the effect breaks. In this case, the value is -23. Set the fill opacity of the back shape to 0, then select both shapes. Next, choose the action Add Blend plus Steps. Set the number to around 25 for a smooth transition. I've switched to Photoshop and set up a mask showing two versions, one without the blend and one with the blend to highlight the difference. Let's see how both react when we apply a bevel and emboss to our white layers with zero fill. Once inside the layer style window, you can play around with the settings, style, technique, depth, size, soften and angle. Watch how the style evolves as I adjust the values. The changes are significant, especially when compared to the flat version above. Here are a few examples following our steps. Using Illustrator's blend tool on simple base shapes allow us to build up depth, light and realism in just a few steps. Here, blended strokes create the illusion of thickness. Most of the visuals rely on color gradients, with the blend tool adding realism through layered shapes and transparency. In wireframe view, the structure remains simple. Some shapes only need color gradients. And with those art brush highlights, the illustrations comes to life. In the next video, I'll show you how to animate with the blend tool in After Effects. Hit the bell so you don't miss it. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.